Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 1965th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 7th of August 2014. The readers this week are Sally, Colin, Janet and Keith, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, under their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly and Ferdinand Bouillon, Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include Something Needs to be Done and Surge in Gang Violence. First of all, the special news items this week. Open House London takes place on Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st of September 2014. Vocalise have been able to arrange audio-described tours of 4 buildings as part of the programme. The tours have been kindly supported by the Greater London Fund for the Blind and the Leather Sellers Company. There will be a tour of the Ismaili Centre in Cromwell Gardens, South Kensington, on Saturday the 30th at 10:30am. The centre, built in 1983, was widely acclaimed by architectural critics for its design and craftsmanship. The building contains traditional elements of the Islamic interior behind a contemporary facade. Architects from MAKE, that's M-A-K-E, Partnership, will be leading tours of their refurbished building at 55 Baker Street at 3pm on Saturday the 20th of September. The radical renovation of the former Marks & Spencer's headquarters has created a new urban amenity with a mix of uses and new public spaces. Taylor Bentley, the art and architecture tour leader, will guide you around the Old Royal Naval College in Greenwich at 10am on Sunday the 21st of September. Built as the Royal Hospital for Seamen above the ruins of Henry VIII's Greenwich Palace, the buildings were designed by Sir Christopher Wren, Nicholas Hawksmoor, James Athenian Stewart and Sir John Vanbrugh. At 3:30 on Sunday the 21st of September, there will be a tour of Maggie's Centre at the Charing Cross Hospital, Fulham Palace Road. The buildings, designed by Richard Rogers in 2008, has won several architectural awards. The bright orange building offers a calm oasis to users of the Cancer Centre. Places are limited, so reserve your places soon. Vocalise asks that a booking is made by email if possible. The address is inquiries@vocalise.co.uk. If you are unable to email a booking request, please call Vocalise on 020 7375 1043. I'll give you the email address again. It's inquiries@vocalise.co.uk, and the telephone number, if you can't do that, 020 7375 1043. The London Blind Rambling Club has a programme of walks which are taking place between March and October. Walks generally last around 7 miles with a pub stop. For more information, please contact Valerie Clark on 020 8868 0096 or email valerie@clark.co.uk. That's 020 8868 0096 or email Valerie, that's with a capital V, at Clark, that's CLARK.co.uk. The Home Library Service is part of Enfield Libraries and provides a delivery service to people living in the borough who are unable to visit a branch library due to age, mobility, disability or their caring responsibilities. We visit each of our members every 4 weeks. The service is free and we will tailor it to your taste. For visually impaired people, we can provide books in large print or recorded books on CD or cassette. We can also bring music on CD or films on DVD for people with some vision. Members are free to reserve particular items. If you would like to join the Home Library Service or know someone who would, please call 01992 716 010 and we will arrange for the Community Access Librarian to visit you. That's 01992 716 010. Finally, the Enfield Macular Disease Support Group meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10am to 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss. Carers are welcome too. For further details, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 886 5659. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Now Sally will read the first item of local news.
Drug dealing and antisocial behaviour are creating a climate of fear within two communities, according to the people who live there. Those living in the Wilbury estate in Upper Edmonton claim regular crime and antisocial behaviour has left them in a state of despair. Residents of Murray Way off 4 Street have also grown increasingly threatened by the constant drug dealing and antisocial behaviour that they claim pervades the area. Tanya Holman, who has lived in Murray Way since she was a child, told the Enfield Independent the area has been in constant decline. She said, "I have lived here all my life and things have got worse and worse, especially in the past few years. The estate received a makeover a few months ago, but there is still a lot of drug dealing. There is always someone different coming to the flats, and the smell of drugs around here is terrible." According to figures on www.police.uk, there have been 70 antisocial behaviour crimes recorded on the estate since January 2014. Miss Holman said, "Something needs to be done. Authorities know about this ongoing problem, but there is no action. It's a major issue." Residents of the Wilbury estate, who recently took part in a community day to clean up the open space, say there is regular drug taking in the disused playground. Dylan Dimes of Wilbury Way said, "The condemned playground might be shut off, but it is a drug den. Last month, more than 30 needles were taken from there, and we found some before the community clean-up. It doesn't have a great reputation. There are a lot of drugs and antisocial behaviour, but things are hopefully going to change. It will take time and money, but I hope it can change. There is a lot of fly tipping from the houses, but we are seeing more police around here, which is good." Maria Averchio, who lives on the estate, said, "There is always something happening round here. There are so many people on the estate going there taking drugs. It is unruly. We need more people to come together. It's all well and good me saying I'm happy to come out, but not enough people are willing to do the same." Friends of Weir Hall and Tatham Parks have recently been granted £40,000 from Enfield's Residents Priority Fund and the Mayor's Marathon Trust to help reform the park. Edmonton MP Andy Love said, "I am very well aware of the difficulties on the Murray Way estate. It's a sensitive area where there have been problems with numbers of young people gathering, antisocial behaviour and related drug activity. The Wilbury open space is somewhat isolated and is used not only as a recreation area but as a quick route to Edmonton Green. There have been a number of complaints, particularly about the unsafe nature of the space, and I know the police are working to resolve these issues. They are issues that I take very seriously, and I am currently in contact with them in order to bring these concerns about drug activity and antisocial behaviour in Upper Edmonton to the attention of the authorities." Inspector Sharon McHugh said, "We were not previously aware of problems at Wilbury Open Space, but we are now in contact with the Parks Group and we are looking to set up a neighbourhood watch group and increase patrols. Murray Way is very close to Pims Park and we have placed a dispersal zone around the park which includes the estate, and this will help stop antisocial behaviour. We regularly issue at least 2 drug warrants a month in Edmonton and are looking to be in closer contact with residents regarding the problem.
Gang violence is on the rise as a result of turf wars sparked by a vacuum created after dozens of gang members were jailed, a police chief has revealed. Members of the notorious Get Money gang, active in the EN3 postcode, are fighting over territory with Edmonton's Dem Africans, and B12 are split off from that group based around Jubilee Park in a bid to control the supply of drugs. Detective Chief Inspector Paul Healy of Enfield Police, who is responsible for neighbourhood policing and crime reduction, said that convictions following an operation in December have created a space which is being filled by often younger members who are determined to prove their ruthlessness. Greater London Authority figures show a 23% rise in serious youth violence in Enfield during the 12 months leading up to June, compared to the same period the previous year, and a 32% increase in knife crime with injury. Speaking to the Advertiser, DCI Healy said, "Younger people are stepping up to muscle in. We've seen an increase in gang tensions and knife-related robberies. We are working with the council and schools to target individuals who are getting involved in gangs and have secured extra resources." The Met's Territorial Support Group is currently taking part in an operation which has seen 41 arrests this month for alleged offences, including attempted murder and grievous bodily harm. DCI Healy added that currently 9 of the top 17 high-risk gang suspects are on bail for serious offences, while 27 others are in prison. But Ken Hines, an Edmonton youth worker, criticised the Met's approach. "These kinds of operations make good news headlines, but spread the trouble," he said. "When you take away one group, you get others coming in, often those who have to prove themselves and are less willing to change. What is actually required is people with some street credibility and experience of working with this group to engage and show them there are other options." Chris Bond, the council's cabinet member for Environment and Community Safety, added, "Enfield is London's 7th worst gang-affected borough, and that is appalling. We are doing what we can, but unfortunately last month we were not selected for additional funding from the Mayor to tackle gangs."
Here are 3 articles regarding World War I remembrance events that were held recently in Enfield. Silence fell at an Enfield park as hundreds gathered to mark the 100th anniversary of the start of the First World War. Broomfield Park's War Memorial in Palmer's Green hosted the commemoration honouring the start of the 4-year conflict. Dignitaries from Enfield's twin towns, Courbevoie in France and Gladbeck in Germany, joined armed forces veterans, as well as leader of Enfield Borough Council, Councillor Doug Taylor, Mayor of Enfield, Councillor Ackley Bakir, and several fellow councillors. People paid their respects as a choir sang "Abide With Me," "Roses of Picardy," "The Sunshine of Your Smile," and "Keep the Home Fires Burning." Poems were also read by Anthony Fisher of Enfield Poets. In his speech, Councillor Taylor said, "It's only right and proper that we remember the start of this awful conflict which brought industrial warfare to the world for the first time and resulted in the slaughter of millions of people around the globe. It's important to remember the terrible events which were sparked on August the 4th, 1914, so we can learn from the mistakes of history and try to prevent them from ever happening again. This event is an opportunity to remember the people who made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in service to their country during the 4 years of conflict. It's also to reiterate our commitment to our European friends in Courbevoie and Gladbeck." Following a trumpeter playing out the last post, Councillor Bakir officially unveiled the visitor information board prepared for the centenary year by the Friends of Broomfield Park. Lights also went out across the borough between 10 and 11 p.m. as a mark of respect to those who lost their lives fighting in the war. Enfield Borough Council's Civic Centre in Silver Street had only its 10th floor lit up to depict a candle. Valerie Tate of the Royal British Legion commended the event. She said, "It really was a lovely day due to mark a sad occasion. There wasn't a family in the country that was not affected by the horrors of the Great War, and that should always be remembered." Enfield Boys Brigade has also looked back at its role in the First World War on the centenary of the outbreak of hostilities. Hundreds of Enfield boys who were too young to join the army signed up to help with the war effort. Jobs on the home front included tending to wounded soldiers, sounding the alarm and assisting local authorities. Members of the 1st and 3rd Enfield companies were employed by the local authority, with boys taken in council vehicles to selected points to sound the alarm and to return with them when the danger had passed to sound the all clear. Enfield was a popular target for enemy fire due to the important small arms factory that produced the famous Lee Enfield rifles. Zeppelin airships would make their way to Enfield following the River Thames and the River Lee. In 1919, the bugle team was recognised by the District Council and each bugler was presented with an engraved bugle. The brigade, which currently has 350 members across 8 groups in Enfield, has been going since 1888. It is also celebrating Harry Rooke, a member and later a staff sergeant in the 2nd Enfield Company, who was finally accepted for service on his 7th attempt and was named the Great Sacrifice by the Boys Brigade magazine. It was not just the boys who stayed in Enfield that were commended. 2 brothers from Enfield, one aged 17 and the other aged 15, joined the army, although the young boys did not, of course, give their true age. Both were accepted and eventually posted to Egypt, but they were recognised by an officer who arranged for the youngest to become a drummer in the army, removing him from the immediate danger facing a line soldier. Information on the Boys Brigade effort during the First World War can also be found at the Enfield at War exhibition in the Dugdale Centre, London Road, which is open to the public until January the 11th, 2015. Enfield Town Football Club also marked the centenary of the First World War as part of its European tour. The team laid a wreath at the Menin Gate at Ypres, Belgium, before they played their first European fixture. The team ran out comfortable 4-0 winners against SK Beveren. Outgoing chairman Paul Millington said, "The visit to Ypres brought home to us the great sacrifice others made. It was poignant that the spot the wreath was laid was near the name of Charles Blake, a player for Enfield who lost his life in 1917, aged just 26. We have built a great friendship with YKSK Beveren, and without the sacrifice made by Charles and so many others, that may not have been possible."
It's another story from 100 years ago. A century ago, the Enfield Gazette, the Advertiser sister paper, reported on the considerable excitement with which residents reacted to the outbreak of war. In sombre tones, the Gazette reported that Tuesday, August the 4th, will be a memorable day in the annals of our island's story, as on that day war was declared between Britain and Germany. The report gives an insight into how, for many residents, after weeks of build-up and tense speculation, the declaration of war came as something of relief. The paper detailed how many people living in the borough, the news that Britain had declared war on Germany was hardly surprising after months of reports of German aggression. The unnamed reporter added that by August 1914, most people were anticipating Britain's declaration of war on the Teutonic peril. With hindsight afforded by reading the Gazette's coverage a century later, the glee with which residents cheered on troops seems macabre by today's readers. The paper reported how enthusiastically Army reservists answered the call-up, cheered on by residents. You could hear it in the distance, the report reveals, the regular heavy thud-thud, denoting the advance of a large body of men. Suddenly the drums and fifes began to play, and the crowd on Windmill Hill surged down towards the town from which the sound came. "There they are," came the cry as around the Wesleyan chapel there swung the advance company with the band. The one cautionary note on the horrors of war came from a report of the vicar of Enfield's sermon, in which he told the congregation that they were gathered under a cloud of the deepest anxiety and trouble. The vicar added, "A catastrophe threatens the people of Europe unprecedented in its magnitude and pregnant with horror. It is impossible for any of us to grasp all that such a war may, and indeed must, entail of human suffering and human distress."
The way the council has tried to soften the impact of welfare benefit cuts on families in the borough has been recognised by a national charity. The work of the Welfare Reform Task Force, created by Enfield Council in partnership with the Enfield Citizens Advice Bureau and Job Centre Plus in 2012, to advise those worst affected by government cuts, has been showcased on the CAB Network's website since last month. The benefits cap, which limits the amount a household can receive to £26,000 a year, or £500 per week, was piloted in Enfield in April 2013. By then, officers from the housing, childcare, benefits and care departments had set up a working relationship with Job Centre Plus and CAB staff to advise about 1,700 families affected by the cap. More than two-thirds of them were in private rented accommodation. Some 27% of households lost more than £100 a week, but by May 2014, thanks to support, 560 households have found work and another 142 had moved to more affordable accommodation. Council Chief Executive Rob Leake said, "We harnessed the skills of a dedicated professional council team to work with our partners at Job Centre Plus and CAB. They continue to work together and to support people."
The Chief Executive of a hospital has slammed the facilities at Chase Farm Hospital and says he plans a major rebuild of the site. The Royal Free London NHS Trust, which took over Barnet and Chase Farm Hospitals Trust on July the 1st, will set up plans to comprehensively rebuild the site, according to its CEO David Sloman. Speaking to the Enfield Independent, Mr Sloman condemned the facilities at the Enfield Hospital in the Ridgeway, which he described as not fit for purpose. He said Chase Farm is in a terrible condition and the quality of the site is abysmal. Buildings are far too spaced out and many of them have been left to ruin. The hospital is not fit for purpose and not up to the standards of a 21st century hospital. We have people queuing outside in the rain for some wards, and that is not good enough. Mr Sloman said plans would not be going to Enfield Borough Council's Planning Committee until November this year. He added, "We are planning a major rebuild of the hospital that we hope to complete by 2018, which is ambitious, but we hope it will bring excellent care to Enfield. I think there has been a continued blight over the years because people have failed to commit to improvement until the Barnet, Enfield and Haringey strategy was sorted." Enfield North MP Nick Dubois said, "The funding in place from the government and any land sale proceeds is rightly being ploughed back into Chase Farm, but also of equal importance is improving access to primary care in the community. We need this work to happen sooner rather than later so residents can have confidence that the Royal Free will deliver on their promise. The redevelopment is set to cost more than £100 million and the Royal Free has also absorbed the historical debts of £16.9 million.
A council cabinet member has denied supporting the creation of a traffic-free zone in a part of his ward. Cabinet member for Environment, Councillor Chris Bond, appeared to back plans to create the zone between Southbury Road and Lincoln Road, bounded by the A10 and Enfield Town, in an online petition. The petition set up by the London Cycling Campaign to call for more cycle spaces in the borough asks councillors to support their proposals in different wards. In the petition for improving cycling in Southbury Ward, it reads, "The area bounded by Lincoln Road, Southbury Road, the A10 and Enfield Town is used by motorists as a shortcut from the A10 to Enfield Town. A greenway cycle route passes through this area, even though parked cars and a bus route make it difficult for cyclists. To create a traffic-free zone within this area would provide a safe route for cyclists into the town centre. Linked with the proposed cycle paths along Southbury Road, it would make life better for residents." The proposal by the Enfield branch of the cycling campaign has raised concerns amongst residents in the roads that could become traffic-free. Jennifer Bartlett of Farmer Road said this is a residential area in Enfield, and for as much as we don't want to see a lot of traffic down here, it would be impossible to create a traffic-free zone. Where would people park? Buses would have to be rerouted, and that would cause a lot of problems as well. Adrian Golding, who lives in Fotheringham Road, said, "It's a good idea in theory, but having a traffic-free zone here will just cause chaos in other parts between Southbury and Lincoln Roads. All roads around here have become one-way, which has stopped a lot of the gridlock we used to get, but cycle lanes would result in even heavier traffic around Southbury Road because people use these roads to get away from that." Although not official council policy, the online petition shows councillor Bond's backing for the idea. However, the councillor has categorically denied supporting the section of the petition which proposes to create a traffic-free zone. He said, "I supported improving cycling in the area, but I did not sign up for a traffic-free zone in that area. That was not in the petition when I was asked to show my support. This is all coming under the Cycle Enfield project, and we'll consult properly with residents in Southbury for improved cycling. But if people don't want certain things, then we will listen to them. The last thing we want to do is to create more traffic as a result of this project, and I'm sure that won't happen." Deputy Leader of the Conservative group, Joe Laban, said, "Banning cars around Fotheringham Road is ridiculous. It's a residential area in an outer London borough, and people need cars to get to the work, go to the supermarket, and to generally live." We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over, and start side 2.